Okay, well, hi everyone. Welcome to today's training session. My name is Roshni and I'm part of the customer team here at SuiteFiles. So today's training session is going to cover off our standard user training, and we're going to go through the main SuiteFiles apps. These are the web app, Outlook, and SuiteDrive. So the web app is what you're going to be using most of the time. It's the one that we're going to log in to through our browser. But just before we get started, as I said, if you do have any questions, please do make use of that Q&A section, which you can see in the webinar panel. We'll be keeping an eye on those throughout today's session. And I'm also recording, so a recording of this session is going to be uploaded to our YouTube channel. So the link for that is simply I'll show you here. So we uploaded a number of videos onto our channel. It's simply called SuiteFiles. We also have some other ways that you can help with your training. So first of all, we've got our SuiteFiles Help Center, which is suitehelp.suitefiles.com. So that's got a number of articles that we've put together. You might want to check out the Get Started guide if you haven't already. We'll be covering a lot of those things live in today's session, but if you do need a reminder or you like to just have those written help articles on hand, then do bookmark suitehelp.suitefiles.com. There's also a way to access this site from within SuiteFiles itself, so I'll show you that shortly. And last but not least, if you do have any questions that you can't find the answers to, then please feel free to email us at support@suitefiles.com. And our support team will be more than happy to help answer any questions that you have. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is log into our SuiteFiles site. So one thing to note is that you'll be asked to, when you log in, you'll be asked to enter your Office 365 email address and Office 365 password. So the URL that you're going to be logging into, hopefully you've got that in an email already, but if you don't, it should look a little something like this. So it's your company name .sharepoint.com. So if you don't know what your login or your URL to enter in here should be, then please check with your administrator at your end. And then, as I said, it's going to be your Office 365 email address, followed by your Office 365 password. So if you have forgotten your username or your password, then that is something you'll need to follow up with your Office 365 administrator. At your end, it's not something that the SuiteFiles team here even has access to. So that's just something to note. And if you have two-factor auth, then you will be prompted to enter your code. But once you're logged in, like you can see that I am here, you'll see your SuiteFiles home screen. So on the left-hand side, you'll see a list of your folders, and the very top left where our logo is, where you see the SuiteFiles logo, that also functions as a home button. So if you've navigated through a lot of folders or throughout the site, you can always get back home by clicking on the SuiteFiles logo. In the top middle here, we have a search bar. We can use this to search for our files or folders, and then underneath we have a number of navigation tabs. So first of all, while we're on files, if you're here, it'll give you access to these top level folders in SuiteFiles. Then in your favorites, that's going to show you any of your folders or files that you've starred. Recents is going to display any of the files or folders that you've accessed recently. And you can look down the filter on the left-hand side of the screen to, if you're wanting to specify any emails that you've looked at recently, or if you're wanting to have a look at things that you yourself have been working on recently, then you can make use of those filters on the left-hand side. Images, this is simply a search specifically for image file types, and again we've got some filters on the left hand side here for any common searches that include the term logo. So that will load up any file on our site that contains the word logo, screenshots and receipts. Tasks is where you're going to manage any files and folders that you have shared with other users or other users have shared with you. And I'm going to go through a few of these sections in a lot more detail in today's session. Scans, now this is actually, we've got a whole webinar dedicated to this, both this scanning functionality and our template functionality. So just keep that in mind, and we won't be going over this one specifically, but do feel free to sign up to one of our scanning and templates webinars. We're holding one tomorrow. So if you're not already registered, then I encourage you to come along and learn all about how you can scan your files from your scanner and have them directly upload into SuiteFiles using an email address that you can generate. Under the More option here, we've got the manage users and groups. This is specifically an admin function, so only administrators in your site can have access to this, and we've got a dedicated webinar to administrator functions that's going to be happening later on today. Manage templates, this is something that potentially standard users can have access to. You might not have access to it just yet. You might, if you do need access to this functionality, which will allow you to categorize any templates that you store in SuiteFiles, edit any existing templates, etc. This is going to be available as a permission, so your administrator can switch this on for you. And finally, we've got the recycle bin. And what we can see here is anything that has been deleted recently. So unless you're an admin, you will only see what you yourself have deleted. And if you do want to, I'll just make that a little bit smaller. So the restore button there is available if you've, say, accidentally deleted something, want it back. That's going to allow you to do that. So we can click on the restore button, and that's going to restore the item to the its original file location, which we can see here. So again, the deleting, the ability to delete a file, that function is not actually available to everyone either. So again, that's something that if you want your entire team to have access to the delete function as an administrator, they can switch that function on for specific users. If you don't want to give delete privileges to the team, then oftentimes we have people set up a trash folder. You might even find one has already been set up by default in your SuiteFiles site. It's simply a folder, just like any of the others, but it can be a place where you can have your team store or move their files to. It looks like ours is empty. Oh no, I've got my one that I've restored there recently. So you can actually move folders around SuiteFiles, and you can have people move them into the trash folder, and then periodically an admin can come in here and delete that. And that just keeps your site nice and tidy. If you don't want necessarily to have people have access to deleting, this is another way to get people to relocate their files and folders that they're perhaps no longer needing to have. So next we're going to have a look at our user preferences. So this is something that we recommend that you do early on, as it sets up some of the default behaviors that you'll be working with daily. So to set up your user preferences, you head on to the top right corner of your screen, click on your username, and then select Profile Settings, User Profile Settings, and then you want to select File Preferences. Okay, I'm just going to go, yep. Okay, so the first option here is whether or not you want to show archived content. So if you have this one set to yes, then you're going to be able to see files or folders that someone has archived in your site. However, if you have this set to no, like I do, you won't be able to see any of those archived files or folders. So currently set to no. If I switch that across to yes, I'm also going to switch this across to yes for just preempting what I'm going to show you next. So to save your changes to these file preferences, just click the X in the top right corner and that's going to save your changes. So now as I navigate through my site, let's have a look. Of course, we won't be able to find anything that I've archived. Okay, let me just go back to home. There's a whole bunch more folders here, and at the very top level of my SuiteFiles site, so immediately under my home screen, I've got a bunch of archived folders. So this is what an archived folder looks like, and if I go back in and switch my profile settings back to not show them, then those are going to disappear once I refresh my site. So it is important to be aware that this feature exists. It's sometimes can trip people up, I guess, if other people have decided to show archive files and folders. You might not necessarily be aware that that one exists. So it could be that you've got your settings set to not see archive folders, and that could be a reason why you're unable to locate certain things. If you do archive items in your SuiteFiles web app, so this is the web app is the one that I'm referring to when we're working in the browser, as we are here. If you've archived something here and perhaps you're trying to look for it in our Outlook add-in, perhaps it won't show up. So just play around with those settings. A lot of these file preferences, are a personal choice, and you might find that you want to work with them switched on, just so that you're familiar with everything that's on your site. Sorry, I'm just squiggling my mouse around because I keep losing them. Okay, so we're back into file preferences. The show dates and times, or show times and dates rather, that's quite a simple one where we simply show if it's set to no, it's just deciding whether or not we're going to be showing timestamps while navigating files. So if we click on yes, and again click that X to save, if we look here in our date last modified, we can see the time that it was modified. If we switch that back to no, then we're only going to be able to see the date. So it depends on what level of detail you want to get into in terms of viewing your date last modified, and that's the setting that will help you to make that really, really clear if you would like that. The third and final one that we're going to cover off today is whether or not you would like to open your Office files in the browser or not. So that will typically be set to yes by default. But if we want to have a look at what that does, So if we click on any Word document here, just for example, you can see that it's going to simply open the document in the preview mode in the browser. So it's not going to open it up in the desktop app of Word. So we do also have the option here to open it in Office. Oops, I was too slow to do that. So that little pop-up there, that's offered by the Chrome Chrome. So that is something that's unfortunately outside of our control. It does pop up really quickly. So anyway, what we might do for now is just showcase the editing and browser function, and we'll flip over to the opening it up in Office shortly. So if you click on Edit in Browser, then this is going to turn the preview into an editable document. So you can see this is one we've been playing around with. Great. And you can simply click Save and Close. So if we go back into the 99 Corporation folder here, click on the intro letter again, you can see that the edit that I had made has now been saved. So the benefits of editing in browser is that it's pretty fast to open. You can go full screen if you'd like to, and you can edit and save by simply closing the file. So yeah, as you saw, I just click Save and Close, and that saves the changes that we've made. So the only problem, or maybe one of the downsides to this, is that it doesn't have all of the functionality that the desktop apps have. So if we go back into, we'll go back into our preferences, and let's just switch that across to no. Save those changes, and now this time when we open up our intro letter, there's that prompt. So you saw that I had to click the checkbox to always do this action, and then clicked on Open in Word. And let's see if I did that quickly enough. I've got another screen, so that is where my Word document, if I was fast enough, which doesn't seem that I was. Let's try that one again. Okay, so that's how long it took for the file to open. Did open up on my other screen, but it was a couple of seconds delayed compared to editing it in the browser. So as I said, it's sort of a personal preference. There are some of the desktop apps, especially if you're working on Excel files, of course, you've got a lot more functionality than, say, the online or the browser version of Excel does. So if you do opt to go with this option of opening them up in the desktop apps by default, just make sure that you're paying attention the first time that you do it. And if you manage to check that box and click Open Word, then you won't have to do that one again. So it will remember your preference to open that up in Word by default. So you also don't need to worry about doing a file save as. You can see here that it's been saved a few minutes ago. So that's automatically done. You don't need to worry about file save as. So yeah, it's just a case of trying it out, I guess. It really comes down to your personal preference. So encourage you to give both of those options a go. And the final preference that we had in that list, you don't need to worry about that one. Just keep that set to yes. We used to be able to I guess we used to be able to have an effect on what this one does or how we opened emails up in the browser. We no longer, the protocol no longer opens these email files in Outlook. So you can still open up a preview of the email from within SuiteFiles, but we also do have our Outlook add-on to do this, which we're gonna take another little look at later on in today's session. So those top three, just be familiar with those preferences, and hopefully you know how each of those work. And yeah, just play around with them, see which one suits you best. Okay, so next we're going to have a look at just moving around the site, navigating, and how you can find things nice and easily. So the first way you can navigate around your site is simply by, of course, navigating through the folder structure. So as you click on a top level folder here, starting at the home screen, say you're looking for a client, you can simply scroll through your client list. But if you're anything like us, we've got quite a few clients listed in our client folder. So we do have this filter for folders available. So this is where you can type in a letter or a couple of letters. So for example, if you typed the letter S and then pressed enter on your keyboard, it's going to look up all the folders that begin with the letter S. Or to drill down a little bit more, you can type in, say, Suite, hit enter, and that's going to show us or filter the list for all of the folders that begin with Suite. And then from there you can navigate through to your folder. If you still can't find what you're looking for, then head over to the search bar in the top middle of the screen. So there are two types of search that we offer out of this search bar here. So that's both the quick search and the advanced search. So we'll start off with the quick search, which is where you type in your search term into the search bar, and a list of results will be displayed automatically. So I'm just going to use a really simple test search. And you can see here that we've got some results. These are a little limited. So at the top, and there's sort of a certain way in which they're displayed. So at the top, we've got any of our starred items that have the term test that meet our criteria. And then further on down, you can see here we've got about 7 or so client folders. So the client folders are represented by that little person icon. So we show those next. Then we've got a mixture of different file types. So you've got a list of files and then some folders. So if you can't find what you're looking for in these results easily, and you probably wouldn't be using such a broad generic search term like I am, so hopefully you can find the results, but if not, you can activate the advanced search by either clicking on the advanced search for test or simply pressing enter on your keyboard. So we can see here now that we've got just a casual 330 results for our keyword. So it's still quite a lot of results, and what we can do now is use our filters down the left-hand side of the screen to just filter through those results. So the content state section here, current means all unarchived content here. So anything that is actively available in your site, and then you've also got your archived content as well. So do note that regardless of the setting that you have set for your file preferences, this is one way to always be able to locate any of your archive files in this advanced search. Down here we've got file type. So you can, if you know that it's a PDF that you're after, you can click on the PDF option, and that's going to give us simply 4 results. But let's just say it was a Word document, and then if it's in client folders, if it's a particular client folder that you might have been looking in. You can see here that we've got suggestions for client folders that your document could be in. Financial year, so if you have set up any financial year folders, then SuiteFiles is going to detect that and categorize your documents according to their financial year. And if you don't have financial year folders set up, then it's going to look at the date modified and categorize them accordingly. And finally, you can have a look for any documents that were modified by a particular person. So if I'm looking for something that was modified by Andrew, perhaps it was for the Cloud IT Services, you can see here that I've just gone to one result. So using a combination of the filters on the left-hand side should hopefully help you to find what you're looking for. If we go back to our clients folder, and let's say we are looking for a file specifically in the 99 Corporation folder, which is one of my client folders, you do also have a search in current folder option as well. So that's got 0 results, unfortunately, but that search in current folder is also a really good option for you. And we've got 2 other ways that can help with your navigation, which are your favorites and your recents. So these ones are pretty useful in terms of just being able to access things that you either work on regularly. So say if you have a client that you're working on coming up, you can go into their folder. So navigate to their folder and click on it, and then to the right of their name in the breadcrumb here, so refer to that as the breadcrumb up the top there, that star here, if you click that once, it's going to turn gold, and then that's going to ensure that that client folder shows up in your favorites. And if you have a particular file that you've been working on, so let's just have a look at ATS account. If we want to star or favorite one of our files, you'll find that same star icon just to the right of any of your files. So that's going to also give you the option to see them in your favorites. So here they are, the folders now been starred, so it's easy to access from just navigating between the files and folders options on the left here. Recents, now this is going to show you any of the recents. So I pretty much covered that off in the right at the beginning when I was going through these options. So if anyone does have any questions on that, then do let me know. But we've got, yeah, some of the files that we've worked on recently listed here. Okay, so next we're going to cover off how to create a client folder. So if we navigate back to the home screen, let's just say that we want to create a new client folder. If you go into your clients folder, you can click the 3 dots to the right of that folder and then select create subfolder. So make sure that you give your folder a name and then click create. And that's going to create the folder ready for us to either add more subfolders to, or we can simply start adding files to this main area here. If you wanted to delete a folder, you can do this if you have permission to do so. You want to click on the 3 dots next to the folder path and then simply click delete folder. And if you're not an administrator in your site, then you're going to see a message telling you that you don't have permissions to do that. So that's why I was mentioning that trash folder earlier. If you do have one set up here, then you can have your team add or move folders across to this trash folder, and then you can periodically come in here and delete all of those files and folders. So next thing we're going to cover is folder template, sorry. So these are a huge time saver. So each time you create or add a new client in SuiteFiles, you can use these folder templates to create the folder structure for that client's folder. So you need to create the folder template structure before you save it as a folder template. So that's an important part of the process. So if we go back to our home screen, you probably won't have this set up yet, so just do take note that this is something that you'll need to set up in your site. You don't necessarily have to set it up here, you can set it up somewhere else, but you need to have an area where you can create the folder template. So you can see here that we've created a new client folder template set of folders. And so every time I create a new client on my site, I want them to have these folders. So you first need to create this structure anywhere on your site. As I say, it doesn't matter where, just so long as you've got it set up like so. And once you've got that done, then you can go ahead and create or use this, make it a folder template. So to do that, just make sure that you're at that top level of the folder structure that you want to turn into a template. Click the three dots to the right of that name and then click template folder. Then you want to give your template a name so that you can identify it easily. So I'm just going to call this new folders. I'm just going to give mine a date because I set up these all the time, but you might not need to do that. You can probably just get away with doing new client folders, and you can enter a description for this template if you want to. I'm simply going to click create and close. And then just so that you're aware, once you've saved a folder structure as a template, just like I've done, this process is taking a copy of that original folder, this one here, and it's actually storing it elsewhere. So they're not linked at all. So if you make any changes to this original folder structure here, so say we tidy up the financial years and we don't need 2016, 2017, if you were to delete them here, they won't trickle through to any of your existing client folders that already have used this as their template. So you do need to go ahead and create that folder template again. Just make sure that you give it a unique name, and you can use that for any client folders that you're setting up in future. So if we jump back into our clients folder and create a new client again, so by simply creating a subfolder, here we have our client that I'm going to create again, and here from this drop down you can choose a folder template. So this is the one that I just prepared. Select that and then click create. So the more folders that you have in your folder structure, the more of a time delay you might have when creating it. So the other thing to be aware of is that if you have files as part of the folder structure, the original folder structure that you use to create a template from, it's going to take copies of those files as well as the folders. So just make sure that the folders that you're creating are nice and tidy before turning them into a folder template, as you don't want to have unnecessary files that you end up having to delete once you've created the new client folder. But here you can see under HKS Accounting Limited, we now have our desired folder structure, and that's just saved me a bunch of time. You can have folders within folders. I think that we don't have an example of that. But yeah, your original folder template can have as many subfolders as you like. So that's folders 101. But if you'd like to now create a new file, I'll show you how you can do that. So choose the folder that you want to sit it under. So I'm here in the engagement folder, and then you can come across to the create button. Again, I've lost my mouse, here it is. So you can click on that blue create button. Then you want to select the file type. So I'm going to just select a new Word document, and then give this your file a name. And then simply click Create Word Document. So this is going to create a new file, and it's going to also open it for you so that you can start editing it straight away. So there it is. Now, you might have noticed that the file types available from this create menu are only Microsoft Office file types, and there is a reason for that. So as I was sort of saying at the beginning, we log in using your Office 365 username and password, so we're very much tied into and integrated with Office 365. So we're storing things in Office 365, so they open them up in Office 365 apps as well. Now, if we click on the three dots to the right of a file, right here, we do have some file options. So hopefully they're pretty self-explanatory and you can see them all there on the screen. But you've got the option to edit or rename a file, archiving. So this is how you can archive items. If an item has been archived, then you can make sure that you've got that setting in your file preferences set to show archived content. If you locate that file, then that will switch into an unarchive option. And we also have the ability to move files as well. So if say you wanted to make use of that trash folder, you can navigate through your files, folders, select the trash, and then click move. And that's going to move that welcome letter into our trash folder, as you can see here. You can also do some bulk actions. So if you have multiple files rather, you can select them. So if you hover over the icon on the left-hand side, it turns into a checkbox. So if you wanted to, say, move this one and this one, you've got some bulk actions. So if I wanted to move these both, let's just pop them back. So you can also filter. So if I want to just filter to HKS Accounting, I can do so here and press the move button. So that's taken us into the folder that we've just moved these ones to, and you can also do other options such as bulk archive, unarchive, delete, and download files as well. If you are trying to download multiple files, so that last option here, or that first option rather, if you are trying to download these, just make sure that you have pop-ups that your pop-ups are not blocked. Make sure that they're enabled. So I was able to download both of those files without a problem. If you're only seeing one file being downloaded, then do check in your browser in the top right. That's usually where you'll find your pop-up blocked notification. So if you just unblock them, then you'll be able to always allow these types of actions from SuiteFiles, and you'll be able to download in bulk. Another way that you can move and copy is if you wanted to use keyboard shortcuts. So I can select this 99 Corporation file. I stupidly put it in there in the first place. It doesn't belong there. So I can do a cut and paste by ticking the file and then pressing Control X on my keyboard. And that's grayed out the file ever so slightly. I can navigate through my client folders into the 99 Corporation folder. Let's pop it into the 2018 folder, and then you can simply press Control V, and you can see that that file has been pasted back into its rightful home. So that's another way that you can use, we can do moving and copying. So the copy function will just be simply Control C and Control V. Okay, I'm just going to take a very, very quick drink break. Encourage you to do the same, and we'll come back here in about a minute, and we're going to cover off sharing. So I'll talk to you soon. Okay, and we're back. So, as I said, we're going to cover off sharing next. So we can share folders and files with those of our colleagues who are also on our site. You cannot share folders with those that are not, but you can share files with external users. So we distinguish the sort of user groups as internal users and external users. So those internal users are the ones that have access to your SuiteFiles site, and external users do not. So if you wanted to share a folder with somebody, then you simply click on the three dots next to the folder name, then select Share With, and then you can enter in the person's name that you want to share that with. So you can enter in a sharing message, and you can select, you've got three options just to give the recipient a little bit of context as to what the folder is about. Is it an FYI, is it a review and edit, or is it for approval? And then you can click share. And if you wanted to share a file, you can share those, as I said, with both internal and external users. So to share a file, click on the three dots to the right of that file name. Then select the share option. And then you enter the names of the people that you want to share the file with. So if I type in, start typing in. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use myself as the guinea pig, of course, but I'm going to first of all select the person or the Roshni that is part of my team. So that's, if you can just type in their name and you'll see their username, your username list in the drop down here, select one of those and they're basically an internal user as specified by the sort of the grey, light grey shaded outline. Then if you wanted to share with an external user, we don't have access to the usernames, so you will need to enter in their email address in full. So that's what I'll do next. Okay, so make sure that once you've entered the email address in, that, I'm just going to make sure that I've spelled that right. Is that T? I think it was, but we'll just do that again. Just press enter on your keyboard once you have typed in that email address in full. So it's not until you can see their email address in shaded in orange that you'll know that they've been added as an external user. So grey is one of your team, orange is someone outside of your organization. You can also enter in that sharing message again, and you can also use those three options. So okie dokes. So then you can click on share, and in your you as the sharer, you're going to be able to see notifications, or as the sharee, I think is the correct terminology. So because I'm sharing with myself, it gets a little bit confusing, but I can click on my bell icon and then I can see here that I have been shared a welcome to SuiteFiles letter. So here it is. I can view that here. I can see also that in the top right corner, I have, Roshni has shared this file with me. So I can also see, I'll just take you into my emails. So here we are in Outlook, and this here, open this one up. Okay, so this is an example of the file that has been shared with me by a colleague. So this one here is a link. So this is the email that the colleague is going to receive in their inbox. They can also see those notifications directly in SuiteFiles as well. But if they are just on the emails, they can see the message and they can see a link to the document in your SuiteFiles site. So if you hover over the link, you'll be able to see that that's pointing to my my SuiteFiles site, which is demosuite.sharepoint.com. Note that all of our emails do come from no reply at thefullsuite.com, nowhere else. So in terms of these sharing emails, make sure that you're just aware of that email address and maybe save it to your address book. And the other email, so if I go back out of this, close that one down. If we have a look at the example where I was the external user, you can see here it's a slightly different email. This time we've been invited to download a file from SuiteFiles. So here, this is a little bit of a different link. As long and crazy as that link is, it is correct. So they can actually click on this link and it's going to take them into this user interface. It looks like a SuiteFiles site, but it's actually simply a place where they can download a file that you have shared with them. So they don't have access to your SuiteFiles site, so we don't let them in there, but they do get to download that file that you shared with them. If we go into our tasks, this is also where we can manage and keep track of the files that we've shared with others and what they've shared with us. So if you click on the sent items here, these are the ones that we have sent and completed. Those are ones that we've marked as done from our main list, and external here will show any of the files that you have shared externally. So if I go into my new tasks, I can see the files that have been shared, that file here that's been shared with me. You can see the message that I sent to myself. You can also reply to those messages. So you can click this little chat icon here and you can add a note back. So and simply click the add a note button. And so this record is only going to be between the person that shared the file and the one that received the file. So it's not going to, it's not going to publicize this anywhere. It's only displayed in the task. So if you have finished with the file, you can then click as mark as done, and that's going to remove it from the new section. It's going to grey it out the first time, and then when you navigate back, you're going to see no files have been shared with you. The person that who originally shared, they're going to get a notification telling them that that file has been updated. So, and I just got that email, but I won't show you that. But we are going to now look at the Outlook app. So first of all, we need to download the Outlook app. So to download it, you can just simply grab that from our download center. There it is. Cool, so click on your profile, click on the downloads button, and this is the one that we want here. So we want to download SuiteFiles for Outlook. It's going to download this zip file, which you can show in the folder. So you want to open up that folder that you've downloaded, click on disk 1, and then click on the SuiteMail installer. It's just prompted me and asked me if I want to allow this app. Just read the message, and provided you're okay for it to proceed, you can click yes. Of course, it's doing everything on my other screen. I'll just drag them across, but it's simply going through that installation process. Okay, so looks like that's, yep, that was pretty quick. So when we go into our close all that down. So here we've got the SuiteFiles add-in here on the right, and it's going to ask us, we've got two options, whether just to log into SuiteFiles using the standard login process, or if you do have multi-factor auth, then you will need to go with the advanced login. But I'll just go with the standard login option. So click on that, and then you're going to be asked for your site URL, your username, and your password. So this is exactly what you used to access your SuiteFiles site. So what you can do is you can come back to SuiteFiles and you can right click or just select your URL up into the .com point. You can copy that, jump back into Outlook and paste that in, and then your username will be your Office 365 username and your Office 365 password. It's just verifying everything, and once you're in, it's just going to load up your SuiteFiles site. So it's going to show you, this is sort of our top level folder structure. We have our navigation tabs along the top here. So the clients button is going to show you, direct you straight into your clients folder. You've got your recents and your favorites as we had in the web app. We also have a search function up the top here. So if you're looking for a particular client folder that contains the term 99, for example, I can press enter, and that's going to bring me to my 99 Corporation folder. Okay, so let's have a look. What should we show you next? So we're going to have a look at how we can save emails from our inbox. So first of all, you navigate into the folder that you want to be saving to. So for example, I've got the 99 Corporation folder, and I'm going to select the emails folder here. Perfect. And so you can see here a list of existing emails on my site. If I wanted to, say, file one of my emails in my inbox into the 99 Corporation folder, then what I can do is simply drag that and drop it into this folder. So you can see here that it's now showing as having been uploaded, so I can access that from within my Outlook add-in. It will also be available to me in SuiteFiles in the web as well, in your browser version. And you can also see here that SuiteFiles has automatically added a category in blue, just mentioning that it's been added to SuiteFiles. Let's say we've got a file with an attachment as well. So let's have a look at this one here. So this one, we've got both an email as well as a file attachment. So if I might just go back, jump into somewhere where it doesn't have so many things. Okay, so what you can do is you can not only drag and drop the email itself. So you can see here that I've got the email. I can click it in the add-in so I can read it. So if you're navigating, if you're in another email, you still want to see what was sent previously, perhaps you do have access to that from within this side panel here, but you don't have access to the attachment itself. So you've got the option to either click this Open Message in Outlook button. So wherever you see this blue Outlook icon, you can click on that, and that's going to open up the folder, the email, and you can access the attachment from there. The other way to do it is you can also if we go back, we can also drag and drop individual attachments and store them in our folder as well. So depends on if you need access to those attachments, or whether or not you're happy to simply see if they've got an attachment in them and then click on the Outlook icon to open that up. So that's one of two ways to access the attachments. You can also drag and drop multiple emails at a time. So you can select the control button on your keyboard and drag a few at a time. You can see the processing in the bottom right corner. We'll let you know once that's all done. Also, if you want to save emails when you're sending them, so if we compose a new email, we'll just send that to, oops. Whoops, Dave on send, that's a typo. Okay, so if you've got an email that you want to send away, then once you click on send, because you've got the Outlook add-in installed, it's going to ask you if you want to file your email. So you've got the chance to rename the file here, and you can also file it in a specific folder. So let's just stick with the 99 Corporation example. If I select the 99 Corporation, I can then also select the folder that I want to save it into. If there is a subfolder within it, I can choose that there as well. And you've got three options. You can either cancel the send, you can send the email without filing it, but the main purpose of the Outlook add-in is to, of course, send and file it. So I'm going to select that option here, and that's going to save a copy of the email into my, oh, maybe I might have entered my email address in wrong. One moment. Or I think I entered my email address in wrong. That's awkward. Okay, but if you do it properly and you select the correct email address, then that is going to save a copy of the email into the specified folder. Apologies for that. So the final thing that you can do is, if you are clicking a new email, let me just try that one again. You can also attach from SuiteFiles. So you can click on the Attach from SuiteFiles option and navigate through your folder structure and attach any email, any document. So you can just navigate through. They don't have to be from the same place. So you can simply just click them until you've got all the attachments that you want. Let's see. An email address is no longer valid. Okay, that's a bit strange. I'll have to follow that up with our technical support team and see what's happening with my email address there. But the hopefully that's shown you a little bit around our Outlook add-in, around attaching and dragging and dropping and storing your emails from SuiteFiles into the Outlook add-in. So those all will be now available to you from your SuiteFiles site as well. If you do want to change the location that you save on send to, so I might just, let's try my other email address. So if you click on the send option here, this list by default will be pointing you directly into your client's folder. So you can, if you're not wanting to file everything immediately within your client's folder and subfolders, then you can also change that setting by clicking on the cog icon here, and where it says here prompt me to save on send to the clients folder, you can select home from this option. So that will just give you access to every single folder in your SuiteFiles site. So that's one thing that we get asked about often. So the other thing to note is that if you wanted to rename a file, you can do so from within SuiteFiles Outlook add-in. So you can simply right click on the file, select rename, and then select approve. One thing to note is that you need to keep the file extension intact. So if you inadvertently add any characters or information after the file extension, that might make your file unusable. So just to keep that in mind, is if you are editing, the file name, that you need to keep that extension intact. So click approve, and that's going to lock that rename in. So that basically covers the Outlook add-in. The final thing that we're going to have a look at today is the SuiteDrive app. So just a little bit about this one. It maps a drive to your File Explorer. So it maps that drive in File Explorer to your SuiteFiles site. So it allows you to access your files from that File Explorer. There are a number of things to be aware of though. One of those being that it doesn't sync or store the items locally or offline. It's actually retrieving everything from the cloud directly from your SuiteFiles site. So there will be a bit of a time difference of how long it takes to load or save things compared to if you were saving it to your desktop. So just keep that in mind. It is because every time you're doing so, it's having to upload or retrieve things from the cloud. So it's not meant or designed to be a replacement in any way or an alternative to our web app that we went through at the beginning of the session. It's simply an add-on. You'll find it much more beneficial and to use our web app because it's the main app and the best performing one. So with that being said, we will go ahead and download the SuiteDrive. So back in SuiteFiles, back in the download SuiteFiles app section, you want to download Drive. So then we'll okay, so you're going to get a similar prompt to what we saw with the Outlook add-in. So just simply click yes to that. Accept an update. Okay. Should be pretty quick to install. One thing also to note while we're doing that is that Windows 7 is not supported for SuiteDrive. So Windows 8 and 10 are our supported operating systems. So we do have a Help Center article around using it on Windows 7 if you are interested in that. The other thing to note is that SuiteDrive is not supported for terminal servers. Okay, so next we have to log in. Now, to do that, let me just switch things around a little bit. So I'm just going to share a different screen with you. Okay, so hopefully you can see here. Nope, it's disappeared. So let me just see if I can get that one back. Cool. So we'll just try that one again. Okay, sorry, this is... Okay, so once you've installed it, then you need to click on your hidden icons. So this sits just on the right-hand side, the bottom right of your desktop, the arrow pointing up, just click on that, and then you should see that SuiteFiles icon. So that's what I couldn't see before. So I just redeployed that installer, and now I can see that here. So if you right-click it, then select login. Again, you're going to be pasting in your site URL and your username and password, and then selecting login to SuiteFiles. So I do think there's something up with my email address, unfortunately. If it does bounce back like this, then what it does mean is that there's an issue with your email address. So I'm going to have to get that sorted to Suite. Maybe I needed a dot in there. Let's try that. User error must have been. Perfect. Okay, so we are in with a grin. Now, once it's finished doing its thing, you should see here that Suite Drive is now running. And if you click on your File Explorer, you should see here that SuiteFiles has been installed. Oh. Okay, so I've clearly not done something correctly. So I'll follow up with you guys just around the correct steps for logging in. There is help on our help center just around if you do see that error message. I didn't do it on purpose, that I can point you to our help center, I promise. But I will just follow up with you guys all separately just to let you know and just check in to see that you've got that installed okay. And if you do have any errors, then yeah, you can definitely touch base with us at support@suitefiles.com. So that brings us to the end of the session today. Hope you learned a little bit of something around SuiteFiles and how to use it, navigate around, and as well as the functionality that our Outlook add-in offers. So unfortunately, we didn't have the ability to dive in a little deeper into the SuiteFiles drive, but as I said, it's essentially a way to access your files from within the File Explorer. It doesn't replace by any means the web app that you'll be using daily. So if you do have any questions, then please feel free to add them to the Q&A section. We'll be monitoring them for the next couple of minutes. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Okay, so we've got a couple of questions around file editing, so collaboration on files. So if two people have the same file open at the same time, you're making changes, does SuiteFiles notify you that someone else is in the document? So by default, SuiteFiles sets up the system with co-authoring. So where you can share the file with someone, have two people working on it at the same time. So Office 365 and SuiteFiles sort of does the same thing there. So if someone has the file open, they're working on it, someone else opens that file, they're going to see all the changes that that person has been making to the file. So you'll receive a notification that someone else is in the file or they've opened it up, and you'll be able to see in real time the changes that you've both made. So yeah, if you are going to sort of, if you've got two people in the file and you're going to sort of go down different paths with it, then you will go and one of you will need to do a file save as. But if you are intending to work on the same file at the same time, then that Office 365 functionality sort of kicks in as part of the SuiteFiles offering. So I hope that helps. But yeah, let me know if you've got any other further questions on that functionality. Okay, so we'll leave it there. And thank you guys all so much for attending, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day.